I agree.
Yep. Going on to switching over to the UFC side of things, the Bisping and Rivera saga. How do you feel about that? And do you think Bisping should be fined, suspended, and for how long, if you believe so?
You know, it's very hard to say because I don't want to call him a liar. I know Dana said on our pre-fight show that he believes the knee was deliberate, and he obviously wasn't happy with the spitting. Bisping says he didn't hit him on purpose, and he says he was spitting at the ground. He admits to that, but wasn't spitting at Matt Finney. And I want to take his word for it. You know, he doesn't strike me as a very dirty fighter. Obviously, he's a very polarizing figure. There are a lot of people who don't like him.
Yep.
But it's going to be up to the UFC to talk to him and to understand why he did what he did. It's unfortunate because that was, you know, the build-up to that fight was very heated, and I would have liked to see, you know, someone win fair and square. You have to wonder how hurt Rivera was going into the second round. He didn't have a concussion. He went to the hospital after, but still, that has to have rocked him a little bit. So it's unfortunate, and I really don't know what the UFC is going to do. To me, I could see them maybe, you know, fining him, but I don't really see them suspending him per se for that. It's hard to prove that it was deliberate when he says it's not deliberate. But it's an unfortunate situation, especially for Bisping, who I believe he is actually a good guy. I mean, he's always been very gracious to me. I just think that you know, he's had a bad past on The Ultimate Fighter both seasons, and his demeanor sometimes rubs American fans the wrong way. But deep down inside, I think he's just very emotional and sometimes has a hard time controlling those emotions, and then sometimes he does you know, questionable things out there.
All the talks aside, and watching the Bisping and Rivera fight live, and like before you even talked to him and you witnessed the knee, did it look deliberate to you at all? Because like the way we saw it, it didn't look like Rivera was getting up at all. It just looked like he was on his knees and he was just trying to, you know, either grab a leg or something for a takedown. But it just looked like he was there, and it even looked like he was getting up, in my opinion. But how do you feel about, like, how did you see that playing out?
Well, you know, like I said, I saw the same thing that you saw. The problem is that I have, you know, the thing that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around is, after all that, why would Bisping take the chance of getting disqualified? Like, what if he wanted to beat him, unless he just totally lost it and just wanted to hurt him?
Yeah.
Why would he take the chance of ending the fight like that? So sometimes, as you know, in the heat of the moment, guys just sort of lose it. They're just, you know, they're going full steam ahead. They're very emotional. They're very passionate, and you know, they do stupid things, and that was obviously against the rules. But I just really have a hard time believing him trying to end the fight in that way, especially because he really wanted to prove a point out there, and I don't think that's the point that he was trying to prove.
Do you think they should have, if you were in control of the fight, would you have stopped the fight at that particular moment, or would you like let Rivera continue, even if he, like they said, his eyes seemed glassy and he seemed like he was a little bit out of it? What, if you were in that position, what would you do?
Well, it's hard to say, because if Rivera says he can continue and he didn't have a concussion, why would they stop the fight? You know, he's saying that he can continue. You heard it. You know, he said it on camera. The camera caught the audio. So why would you stop the fight if he says he's okay?
True. That's a perfect way of looking at it as well. Staying on that card, the whole John Fitch BJ Penn draw. How did you have it scored, and why did you have it scored that way?
To be honest, I actually had it scored a draw, but for a different reason than the judges. I scored the first round 10-9 BJ, I scored the second round 10-10, and the third round 10-9 Fitch. I know Fitch completely dominated him in the third round, but I don't think that BJ was ever seriously in danger of quitting, or I don't even think the referee was seriously thinking about stopping the fight. And I think that it just brings up the bigger problem in MMA about the judging and the scoring that we have in place, because we really don't know what a 10-8 is. You know, yesterday in the Strikeforce fight, they were saying that, I believe, was it the second round in the Carmouche fight, that it was a 10-8.
Yeah.
And how can that be a 10-8 when she almost tapped due to a guillotine?
Yep.
So the 10-8, 10-9, that's boxing. We know clearly in boxing, if you knock a guy down twice, it's 10-8. If you knock him down 3 times, 10-7. We don't know what a 10-8 or a 10-7 is in MMA.
Yep.
I thought the second round was very close, so I gave that a 10-10, but really it's hard to even know what a 10-10 is. And I gave the first round, like I said, 10-9 to BJ, and the third round 10-9 to Fitch. I would be down if GSP beats Shields and vacates the title. I would be down to see those guys fight again, perhaps for the vacant title. But I thought, BJ fought great in the first round. His game plan was very surprising, but I thought it was an effective one, and I thought Fitch was able to, despite the fact that he was unhappy with his performance, he was able to regroup and really then impose his will like we all thought he would in the third round. So it was a fun fight. It sucks to have a fight end in a draw, but I think the bigger question for me going out of it is just, how messed up MMA judging is.
Yep. That's a perfect example of the next topic that we have, the whole Catman and Diego Sanchez fight. I saw your post-fight interview on the UFC Versus and all that, and you said you had it scored for Catman. Do you mind just explaining why you had it for Catman and the scoring you had it for that?
Yeah, well, going into the third round, Sanchez was 0-12 in takedown attempts, and again, that's another question. Are they giving him points for even trying the takedown, even though Catman is stopping it? I thought, obviously Catman outstruck him in the first and second round. In the third round, I think Diego's one takedown that he got might have sealed the deal, and he did outland him by 3 in power punches, but I still thought that Catman was landing the more effective strikes, and it was somewhat reminiscent of the Nam-Fan Leonard Garcia fight. Yep. Because when Diego throws his punches, he's very wild and it looks good, but he's not always landing them effectively, and I think Catman is the more skilled and patient striker, and he was just doing damage. I mean, just look at Diego's face. So I think, the missed takedowns, the fact that he wasn't landing more punches, CompuStrike and Fight Metric, their numbers are way different, which is strange. But both of them agree that he landed maybe, I think off the top of my head, 30 or so more strikes. I don't see how you give the fight to Catman. I watched it again on TV. It looked a little closer on TV than it was for me in person, but at the end of the day, I still gave the first round to Catman, second round to Diego, third round to Catman.
With Catman's last 2 fights, the previous one being against Jake Shields, and it seems like he's gotten robbed from the last 2 fights. Do you think that's just a matter of the judges being more in terms of popularity, it looks like, or something like that? Because it seems like Jake Shields, that fight, it could have been easy scored for Catman as well. And this fight, you had, it was scored for Catman. So what do you think the whole process behind it? Is it just bad judging, or do you think there's something else behind that?
I think on Thursday was bad judging on the fight against Jake Shields. I actually scored it for Jake Shields, so okay. That to me, I don't think he got robbed. But I think he just had a string of bad luck. To be honest, I don't think it's a weird thing because on his record it says that he just lost to Diego Sanchez, but clearly the UFC is so happy with the fight. They reward guys who put on great performances. I mean, they gave him $160,000 in bonuses. Yep. That's on top of his purse that he was, due to receive for the fight. So it's not like I don't think his stock is going to drop immensely, but definitely it's a step back when you have an L on your record. You can't fight for the title. Fans just view you as coming off of a loss. But for Catman, I really can't see how he can go back and look at that fight and say, I should have done this differently. Maybe more of a killer instinct, I guess, but that's just nitpicking. I mean, he fought a great fight. Yep. Stuff, one of, I think, 15 takedowns, something like that, and really looked good on his feet. So I just think it's a string of bad luck.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to us as well. But we're going to have just one more question, and we'll let you go. We're keeping you over a little time. Sorry about that. But